Ladies and gentlemen, we welcome you back to another episode of Sondik and Mengel. Today we have a very special guest joining us. Not one, but two-time Connecticut Gatorade Player of the Year, NE, IBA, All New England First Team, now a member of the Los Angeles Dodgers organization, Stafford, Connecticut's finest, Jimmy Titus. Jimmy, how's it going, man?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Glad to be here.
Well, thanks for joining us today, man. So during quarantine, there's not much going on. What have you been doing to stay busy and get ready for whenever you get to go back to baseball activities?
Just been trying to grind away. I can hit wiffle balls in my backyard. I can have a catch with my friends. I've been hitting up at my local high school with my buddy who's in the Marlins organization, Josh Simpson. Sorry, I messed up his name there, but so I've just been trying to get some stuff done. Definitely not to the extent that I had in Arizona when I was out of spring training, but just been trying to get done whatever I can get done. So
yeah, there's a lot of free time right now. You watching anything good on Netflix or anything like that?
been playing a lot of Call of Duty.
Nice.
Nothing on Netflix that I've been watching lately, but a lot of Call of Duty. But
So I've been following you for years. I have a friend named Brian. I have a friend that followed you forever. He's part of TCB. So when did you know? Because I know Stafford High, they have a good baseball program. They would have been, because I'm from Bolton, same conference. So when did you know you were taking the private school route? And how did your experience at East Catholic? Because East Catholic's a sport juggernaut. How did that build the foundation of who you are today?
I was kind of on the fence about whether or not I was going to go to Stafford or East Catholic until probably around this time when I was in 8th grade. I had taken the entrance exam at East Catholic just to see if I would be able to go. And I got in and stuff like that. So I was just kind of on the fence. And then one day I just decided that it was going to be the place for me. I wanted to take baseball really seriously, and obviously nothing against Stafford High School. My buddy Josh, he got drafted out of there, went to Columbia, and he got drafted. So obviously could have worked there, but I just decided to go to East Catholic, and ever since then, it started to pay off. So I really enjoyed my time at East. It was definitely a good experience, different atmosphere, kind of a bigger, even though it was a small school in general, probably 750 kids, 800 kids. It was definitely a bigger pond than Stafford was. I got to play bigger schools like South Windsor, Manchester, stuff like that. So I got a little bit more exposure, I think. And I just was in a really good situation because you have kids from all over the state, all over the Hartford area, I should say, really. There's a lot of competition, a lot of guys who are working as hard as they can to get on the field. So it was definitely good to have a good supporting cast around me, and guys who I had to try to, we just pushed each other to be better every single year. So definitely ended up working out. So
it's awesome.
Yeah, you said it definitely ended up working out. Yeah, it took your talents to Bryant, where you had an extremely successful career, winning Rookie of the Year, and then you had a monster 2019. But before that, you had a big setback with the torn ACL in 2018. Could you talk about the rehab process and what went through your mind and how you were able to come back even more effective than you were before that?
Yeah, so rehab, it sucked. You can't really sugarcoat it. It is what it is, especially anything like UCL, ACL, those two are those are the big ones that cause some setbacks because you can't really do anything. So it was first day of the year, second game of a doubleheader out in Arizona, bang, done for the whole year. So I went from being extremely excited about the strides that I made on defense and with my bat and getting ready for a big sophomore year, excited to go out to the Cape during the summer and stuff.
We got a house out at the Cape. I've seen my fair share of the league out there. Orleans Firebird, that's
nice. Yeah, I loved Orleans. I was going to be in Chatham. So yeah, I was all excited for all that stuff, and then all of a sudden just got ripped away in an instant. So it was really tough on me mentally at first, but after a while I just kind of had to take my rehab as if I was preparing for a game. It was the same intensity, it was the same focus. Obviously it's not there's no competition except for with yourself. So I kind of had to try to push myself every single day, make sure I was doing everything that I needed to do and a little bit more so that I could get back onto the field quicker. And I think that definitely helped me when I got to my redshirt sophomore year this past year in 2019. And I ended up playing really well. I had to wear my brace the entire year, which was kind of a hindrance. It made me slower, maybe a little bit like less laterally quick at shortstop. So it was definitely something to try to overcome. But obviously, it all worked out because now I'm playing pro ball and I can't really complain about that.
So with that brace, is that something you're gonna have to wear for life now when you're playing, or is it coming off and you're back to full?
So actually, basically, as soon as I got out to Arizona for like the mini camp after I got drafted, their like the main team doctor for the minor leaguers was like, "All right, dude, we're getting you out of that thing as soon as possible." So I was like, "All right," and I hadn't done any baseball activity without it, so I was a little like nervous at first, but after a while, it just became second nature. So I haven't even touched the thing since June of last year. So literally almost a full year out from wearing it. And my knee's feeling great. So
That's
it's just
awesome.
something that I had to kind of overcome quickly, but it was more mental than physical at that point. So
Yeah, going back to last season, I mean, I was looking at your numbers, like 63 runs at 59 games, 80 hits, you batted 343. Those are video game numbers. So how did the coaching staff, the whole staff at Bryant, how did that lead to your monster success this year?
well, I would say that like just putting like they put their trust in me to be able to go back out there after a pretty significant injury and just let me play my game. Um, Especially the hitting coach at the time, Kyle Petarudo, who's now all three of our coaches when I was there are now at Rutgers, but Kyle Petarudo was my hitting coach at the time, and he was like, Jimmy, just go out there and swing, dude. Like, don't try to do too much. Just do what you do. Um, they never really had to make too many big mechanical changes with me because I just hit well. So they had to put their time and effort into other guys, which makes sense. 35-man roster, you got like 20 position players, 17 to 20 position players, um, and one hitting coach, right? So you kind of want to the guys who are already hitting don't really have to worry about them. So that's just kind of how it went for me. They just let me go out there, didn't have any stress. I was just trying to hit the ball, basically. I did put some pressure on myself because I knew it was my draft year, even though I was a redshirt sophomore, would have been able to go back to school this past year. But now thinking back, if I went back to school, I
Really
probably
good
wouldn't.
call.
Yeah, probably wouldn't be having this conversation with you guys right now. Um, but yeah, so they basically just let me do my thing, and that was that. It wasn't a whole lot of instruction. I made some swing changes during the year to try to make things easier on me. I kind of went from like a big leg lift to like a no stride kind of swing because my brace was on my left knee, which is like my lead leg. So it's
Mhm.
kind of difficult to repeat that lifting action all the time. So had to make an adjustment there, but it ended up working out. So.
Yes. So you talk about your hitting coach and the coaching staff. Is that the main reason why you chose Bryant, or was it the school, the teammates? What stuck out to you about Bryant?
So at the time, it was definitely like a mix of the coaching, like the environment. Like I just liked. Basically, they're just like their approach and everything was just hit the ball hard, hit the ball far, get on second base, and get to home. Like hit doubles and homers, and like that was my kind of um, like methodology, I guess you could say. Like I understand like hitting and running and situational hitting and all that stuff, but I knew that I wanted to play professional baseball. So like I wanted to go to a place where I could kind of tap into what I would be doing at the next level. I'm not the fastest guy, I'm not like a lefty who can just slap the ball around the field. I have good back control, but how I'm gonna be able to make my way up is by hitting the ball hard and far and doing damage. So like I knew that Bryant was gonna be a good place for me to try to like lock that in. So it was definitely a mix of their hitting philosophy as well as like Coach Owens is a great coach. I loved where the campus was. Like it wasn't too far away from home, but I kind of could like get away a little bit. All in all, it was just a great fit for me. So
Yeah, that's great to hear. And then, as we mentioned earlier, Dodgers organization, that's a franchise that's been on the cusp of winning a World Series the past few years. So, what was that like getting drafted? Take us through the moments of hearing your name called.
So the draft days, I guess you could say, were pretty stressful. I knew I wasn't going to get drafted on day one, which is like rounds like 1 and 2. Uh, but I was hoping to get drafted on day 3. I had a team ready to pick me in like 6th, 7th round. They'd called my agent after the 5th round, like getting ready to pick me, but then they ended up consulting with their team docs, and then I wasn't going to get picked by them. They decided to not pick me. So like hearing that great news from my agent, like, hey, they're going to select you. And then him calling again 20 minutes later saying, hey, they just checked with their doctors, like they're not going to take you. That kind of made the day ruined for me. So I was hoping that someone was going to pick me by the end of day 2, but it didn't happen. And then day 3, it starts early in the morning, like 10 o'clock, and it goes all day. And around 11, 12, 13, everything went by. And I was like, dude, what's going on? Like, nothing's happening for me. And then all of a sudden, I'm sitting on the couch with my girlfriend, and we had the draft tracker open. And all of a sudden, my name pops up on the screen they didn't call me or anything. And I just saw my name, and I just couldn't believe it. I was like, wait, what just happened? And then a couple seconds later, my agent called me and he said, we got it done. Like the Dodgers just drafted you. I was like, what in the world just happened? I was like, oh my God. And then everything was like a blur for the next 10 minutes or so. I was like, oh my God, I can't believe this is happening right now. Phone started blowing up and all that stuff. And I was like, I can't believe that just happened. But then once that happened, I was like, all right, well, what now? Am I going to sign? Like, how much are they going to offer me for a signing bonus? Like, there's still a lot of logistics to figure out, but it was definitely probably the best moment in my life so far. Just like trying to figure out like what was going to happen. I got drafted, so I was like, all right, well, what's the next step? So.
Yeah, that's awesome to hear. And I'm sorry if that team that didn't draft you was the Cubs, because I got the up there. So we're take it down.
Hopefully it's not the Mets either, you know?
I will say it was neither of those teams. So
Okay.
you guys are in the clear.
Here. So you signed with the Dodgers. You played last season. We're talking about far from home. You went all the way out to Ogden, all the way in Utah. You played for the Raptors. Can you talk about the adjustments you had to make, flying across the country, starting your career as a pro ball player? Take us through that.
So, I mean, it was definitely different. Like, I'm used to playing on the East Coast my whole life. Like, Cape Cod League, NECBL, obviously grew up on the East Coast. Like, I'm used to humid days and rain and all that stuff. And I fly out to Ogden, Utah, and it's dry, never rains, perfect weather all the time. I'm like, damn, I could get used to this. Like, this is awesome. Ball flies there. So it was like definitely not something that I was used to, but it was just a really fun experience. A lot of different people out there. Everyone's talkative. It's just like it's a different world, really. I know that people say that a lot, but it really was. It's just like In-N-Out Burgers, like 2 miles down the road from the stadium. You're like, let's go. Like, this is awesome. We don't get that out in Connecticut. So like, that was definitely cool. It's just a different world. Like I said, I got to live with a very, very nice host family. And obviously I got this, like, my friend Ryan Ward from Bryant also got drafted with me, also went out to Ogden with me. He was my roommate at my host family's house. So
awesome.
Like, I got to have more of an easier transition into pro ball because I had someone there with me, someone that I was already comfortable with. So I'd say that it was a very easygoing first year for me. The biggest problem I'd say was the travel. Bus trips everywhere, whether it be an hour and a half to Orem or 12 hours to like Idaho. Like, it was stuff like that. And those bus trips take a long time, especially after an extra inning game on the last day of a series. And then you got to go back, and like your entire off day is wasted being on a bus. Like, it kind of sucks, but it is what it is. I can't really, like I said, can't really complain about playing baseball for a living, you know?
For sure.
Absolutely. So as we all, us fans, we see the MLB is kind of shut down right now. Minor leagues is all shut down. What's been the reaction from your teammates? How are they taking this? And is there really a plan moving forward for what's going to happen next?
So basically, at this point, it's kind of like everything's up in the air. Don't really know what's going to happen. Obviously, MLB has to get figured out before they worry about us at all, especially someone like me, brand new to the system, lower level minor league guy. Like, they're not going to, like, they don't really care about me right now, which I know it's probably like, oh, yeah, they care about you. But they have a lot of guys to worry about. They have to worry about the MLB guys, at least like they have the 26-man roster they have to worry about, and then also the 40-man, and then they're probably going to take another 10 or 15 guys who are like on the cusp of major league ready. Those are the guys who they care about right now because they need to get those guys playing. They need to get their money's worth out of those guys. So they're the ones who they care about right now. We're on the back burner, which is okay because you can understand that as someone who, like, they're lower level minor league guys, they're not making them any money really. And the only time that like Ogden will make any money is putting butts in seats at the stadium, you know, like they're not going to make any money from streaming.
Right.
So it's just like, I can understand where they're coming from. They're just expecting us to be ready to go whenever that may be, whether it be like they bring us out for instructional league in a month or two, or if we just come back like after the new year and do spring training early, whatever it is, like they're just telling us to be prepared. So I'm trying to stay in shape, trying to do whatever I need to do, but it is what it is.
So I had a notice in your Instagram bio, you work as an instructor at a facility locally. Talk about that. How rewarding that is shaping future baseball players and the next generation of Jimmy Tituses.
That's a great question actually, because I haven't been asked that yet, which is cool. But I'm like all about that. I'm like obsessed with hitting instruction, obsessed with learning about it. Because like up until my junior year of high school, I was like not very good at hitting. I just got away with it because I had really good hand-eye coordination. So like with everything that I've learned so far and everything that I've like gone out and tried to like gain a deeper understanding of, I feel not obligated, but I feel like this kind of desire inside of me to like share my knowledge with guys, especially like giving back to kids at East Catholic. Because if I can put them in a better position, at least with approach, mechanics, like mentality, like a better place than I was at their age, then hopefully they can become better baseball players than me, you know? So like I'm still playing. I want to play as long as I can. But if I were to ever get the chance to be an instructor with a major league team or whatever the case is, like I would take that in a heartbeat. Like that would be something that I would enjoy more than anything, because I feel like the difference between me and maybe a hitting coach that I'm dealing with now, I understand the feels of everything. I understand what works for me in the cage and stuff like that and how it translates into the game. I understand the true complexities of hitting in whether it be college or professional or even in high school. Everything's different. But like I feel like kids who are 15, 16 years old will definitely listen to me a little bit more than they would a 40-year-old dad in jeans. You know what I mean? Like they kind of can relate to me more. I've been there and I was there not too long ago. So I feel like with the guys that I've worked with so far, it's been really good in terms of getting them to understand where I'm coming from with stuff, getting them to understand the complexities and what really makes the swing work. So I've been loving it. I would do it for a job in a heartbeat if I could, but I'm going to keep playing until I can't. So
That's a good idea. Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll just go a few quick little rapid fire questions here to end it. So we got, what's your go-to walk-up song?
Anything Future. Future is my favorite artist. I've been all about Future since like my sophomore year of high school. I don't know what I would go with right now. He just dropped a new album recently, but probably Solitaires with Travis Scott. That's a great song. I love that song. So I'd probably go with that if I was playing right now.
Gotcha. All right. Best baseball movie in your opinion and why?
Best baseball movie. That's a good question. There are good ones. I mean, obviously, like The Sandlot, like everyone loves The Sandlot, but I think Summer Catch is really good. Just because like I watched it out when I was out in Chatham, and it was kind of like you could kind of see, you could kind of like see what was going on, but also in real life, like it's very similar. Also, Jessica Biel's in that, so that's also a good reason.
Can't knock you for that one.
Exactly.
And then lastly, growing up, did you have a player or a few players that you kind of modeled your game after or wanted to be like?
Um, I loved Manny Ramirez back in the day because obviously I grew up and I was a Sox fan. So Manny, obviously, I didn't try to play like Manny because like he was kind of lazy. He kind of did whatever he wanted, but like his swing was awesome. And then there was a point in time where I really loved the Detroit Tigers because of Miguel Cabrera. I loved how good he was. He was just an unbelievable hitter. So I was big on him. And now like Nolan Arenado is my favorite player, like the best third baseman in the game. I mean, you can make an argument for Matt Chapman or Alex Bregman, but I think Nolan's the best. He's awesome. So there's three guys right there. And then obviously Barry Bonds. So I've always loved Barry Bonds. Didn't get to watch him play as a kid because I was a little bit too young. But like, and like you weren't watching those games as a kid. You're not tuning in at 10 o'clock at night to watch a game on the West Coast. But like, I mean, he's just incredible. Steroids aside, all that stuff aside, I mean, you just can't beat his swing. So
yeah, I
there's
mean,
four guys.
There's a guy, you walk him with the bases loaded, he's got to be doing something right out there.
Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to join us here on our show. We wish you a long and healthy career. We're looking forward to watching you play.
Thank you, guys. Yeah, no problem at all. This was great.
Thanks,
Thanks so much.